Standing in my hallway with his birthday cake, I heard Maxwell tell his buddies, "Been secretly meeting her for 2 years now. I only stay because her dad pays our mortgage." I pulled out my phone and started recording because what I was witnessing wasn't just betrayal, it was evidence. Let me back up. I'm a 28-year-old forensic accountant pulling in $165,000 annually at Whitmore & Associates, where I spend my days unraveling complex financial deceptions for Fortune 500 companies. I've built a career on spotting lies, following money trails, and documenting fraud, but nothing had prepared me for using those skills on my own husband. Thursday night I was supposed to be the loving wife surprising Maxwell with his favorite chocolate ganache cake and a surprise 30th birthday party. I'd left work early, picked up our 4-year-old daughter Nora from daycare, dropped her at my parents' house, grabbed decorations from Target, and rushed home to set up before he arrived. Except he'd beaten me there. Instead of an empty house ready for decorating, I found 5 grown men sprawled across my sectional with beer cans everywhere, howling with laughter at something on our TV, our wedding video. They were watching our wedding video from 3 years ago like it was some kind of comedy show. I stood frozen in that doorway, 3-layer cake in my hands, watching Anthony point at the screen and say, Look, here it comes." Maxwell grinned and said, "Oh man, watch this." On screen, I could see myself in my wedding dress talking to my aunt by the dessert table, completely oblivious to what was happening across the reception hall. The camera panned to Maxwell near the bar with Lisa, my best friend since high school, my maid of honor, and clear as day you could see him lean in and kiss her, not a peck between friends. His hand was on her waist, her fingers tangled in his hair, a full passionate kiss that lasted several seconds. I never saw this happen at my own wedding because I was busy with 200 other guests, making sure everyone was having a good time. But there it was, documented in high definition, while Maxwell's friends treated it like entertainment. "Remember when I kissed Lisa during the reception?" Maxwell said, taking another swig of beer. "She couldn't resist me that night." Simon was practically falling off the couch laughing. "Your wife never suspected a thing. She was too busy playing hostess." Maxwell shrugged with this smug expression. "She's so naive." That's when my professional training kicked in. I carefully pulled my phone from my back pocket and started recording, keeping the device low and angled toward the living room. In my line of work, you learn that people reveal their true selves when they think no one important is listening. What I captured over the next 2 minutes would change everything. "Been secretly meeting her for 2 years now," Maxwell continued, and his buddies started high-fiving him like this was some kind of achievement. Anthony actually said, "2 years, man, that's impressive." But the part that made my blood turn cold was what came next. "Honestly, I only stay because her dad pays our mortgage and she does everything around the house like a maid anyway, so why would I leave?" They clinked their beer bottles together like they were celebrating. 2 years. I did the math standing there. That meant it started when I was pregnant with Nora, when I had hyperemesis gravidarum and couldn't keep food down for months, when Maxwell claimed he was going to the gym or meeting his buddy Francis for drinks, coming home at 10 p.m. smelling like unfamiliar perfume. I'd believed his explanation about Francis's girlfriend wearing too much perfume that transferred during goodbye hugs. They spent the next several minutes ranking Lisa versus me, discussing how Lisa was more fun and didn't nag about cleaning the garage or spending money. How I was basically a live-in house manager who happens to share his bed sometimes. Those were Maxwell's exact words, live-in house manager. I recorded 2 full minutes before my hands started shaking too much to keep the phone steady. Then I quietly backed out of the hallway, set the cake on the kitchen counter, and walked outside to sit in my car. I needed 20 minutes to process what I'd just discovered and formulate a response, because going back inside and committing a felony wouldn't help anyone. Here's what Maxwell and his friends didn't understand about my situation. My father has been paying our $2,800 monthly mortgage for the past 2 years since Maxwell's startup failed, and he couldn't find work for 8 months. My dad writes that check every single month because Maxwell promised he was getting back on his feet and just needed time. My dad, who thinks Maxwell is a good husband because Maxwell plays the perfect son-in-law at family dinners. Meanwhile, I've been working full-time while handling everything at home, taking care of Nora, meal planning, managing all the invisible labor that keeps a household running, and apparently serving as the punchline of jokes with his disgusting friends while he maintains a 2-year affair with my best friend. I called my sister Alicia from the car, launching straight into the situation without preamble. I just found out Maxwell has been cheating with Lisa for 2 years by walking in on him, watching our wedding video and bragging about it to his friends. "I'm coming over right now," Alicia said immediately. "No, because he doesn't know I know yet, and I need to figure this out strategically." That's where my professional background became crucial. In forensic accounting, the most important rule is securing evidence before confronting suspects, because once they know you're onto them, they start covering tracks. Alicia convinced me to send her the video recording first, so I texted it to her phone and then forwarded it to myself from 3 different numbers to ensure I had backups everywhere. When I went back inside, they were still watching the wedding video, now commenting on our first dance. Simon said, "Dude, you're literally dancing with your wife while thinking about her best friend." And Maxwell replied, "Made it hotter, honestly." I walked right past the living room to our bedroom, closed the door, and opened Maxwell's side of the closet. Then I started pulling clothes off hangers and shoving them into garbage bags, the big black hefty ones. His shoes, workout clothes, those graphic tees he thinks are vintage, but make him look like he shops in middle school clearance sections. I could still hear them laughing in the living room as I filled 4 garbage bags. That's when I heard footsteps. Maxwell opened the bedroom door saying, "Babe, when did you get home?" and saw me standing there with trash bags full of his belongings. "What are you doing?" he asked, still holding his beer, pizza stain visible on his shirt. I just stared at him. This was the man I'd married, the man I'd been supporting financially and emotionally while he screwed around with my best friend and made jokes about me to his friends. "I came home to surprise you for your birthday," I said calmly. "Had your favorite cake and decorations in my car. Instead, I got to hear you tell your friends how you've been meeting Lisa behind my back for 2 years and only stay with me because my dad pays your bills." His face went white, actually stumbled backward and stammered, "Babe, wait, I can explain. That wasn't—" "Do not call me babe ever again. I have the whole thing on video." That's when he switched tactics, claiming it was just guy talk, locker room stuff, that he was exaggerating to sound cool in front of his friends. I asked if he was exaggerating about kissing Lisa at our wedding reception. "That was nothing, just a drunk mistake 3 years ago. That's it." So I pulled out my phone and played the video back, him saying he's been meeting her for 2 years, him calling me naive, him saying my dad pays our mortgage like it's a punchline. He tried to grab my phone and I yanked it back so hard I almost dropped it. "If you touch me or my phone, I will call the cops right now and have you removed," I told him, and he backed off. Then came the predictable speech about how marriage is hard, he made mistakes, but we can work through this. What about Nora? What about our family? He loves me, and we can fix this. I asked him point blank how many times he'd been with Lisa in the past 2 years. He wouldn't answer, just kept saying it doesn't matter, and we should focus on moving forward. I asked where they meet up. He said that's not important. I asked if it was happening in our house when I was at work. "No, never here. I would never disrespect you like that." Like that's where he draws the line on disrespect. His friends had gone suspiciously quiet in the living room, which meant they could hear us fighting. Maxwell kept trying to touch my arm while I kept stepping away, until finally he said, "Can we at least talk about this privately without everyone here? Your friends can leave, but you're not staying in this house tonight." He actually laughed. "This is my house too, and you can't just kick me out." My dad pays the mortgage, which means my dad is on the lease, and I'm calling him right now to let him know his son-in-law has been committing fraud by accepting mortgage money under false pretenses while cheating on his daughter. That shut him up immediately. I walked past him to the living room where Anthony, Simon, and the other guys were suddenly very interested in their phones. "Everyone get out of my house," I said, and they scattered like roaches, grabbing their stuff and running. Anthony tried to say something to Maxwell on his way out, and I snapped, "Save it." Once they were gone, Maxwell started up again with his, "We need to talk about this rationally" speech. I cut him off with two options. Option 1, he packs a bag and leaves tonight and we handle this through lawyers. Option 2, I call my dad right now, call Lisa's fiancé Beau right now because yes, she's engaged to someone else, and post the video on Facebook tagging every single person we know. His eyes got huge when I mentioned Beau. "You can't do that. Watch me." I had my phone out already, pulling up Facebook. That's when he switched to full-on begging, saying he'll do anything, cut off Lisa completely, go to counseling, prove he can change. He got down on his knees in our living room and grabbed my hands. I yanked them away so hard. "I want you out of this house in 1 hour. Pack whatever you need for the next few days because you're not coming back. You can stay with Anthony or Simon or literally anyone else, but not here, not around me, and definitely not around Nora." He kept trying to negotiate, saying he has nowhere to go, asking if he could sleep on the couch, promising he won't bother me. I gave him 1 hour and went back to packing his stuff. He followed me, standing in the doorway, saying, "Please, just let me explain everything." I whipped around and screamed that there is no explanation that makes this okay, that I don't care why he did it or how it started or what his excuse is. He spent 2 years lying to my face, sleeping next to me at night, playing happy family with our daughter, eating meals I cooked, living in a house my father pays for, all while screwing around with my best friend. He tried to blame Lisa, saying she seduced him and he was weak. I literally laughed in his face. "You're a grown man who made choices. Own those choices like an adult instead of blaming everyone else." Then my phone rang. Maxwell's mom, Juliana. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. I answered. "Maxwell just called me very upset, saying you're kicking him out over a misunderstanding, and you won't listen to reason." "There's no misunderstanding, Juliana. Your son has been cheating on me for 2 years with my best friend, and I have video evidence of him bragging about it to his friends." Silence. Then, "All men have their moments, dear. Don't throw away your marriage over boy talk." I hung up. She texted 3 times after that, and I blocked her number. Maxwell was still standing there. "See, even my mom thinks you're overreacting." I lost it then, told him his mother raised a man who thinks cheating is boy talk and lying is acceptable and using his wife's family for money while disrespecting her is totally fine. His mother is the last person who gets an opinion on our marriage. I handed him the garbage bags I'd already packed and told him to get the rest himself. While he loaded his car, I sat on the bed breathing through the adrenaline that was making me shake. When he came back for more stuff, I asked if our entire marriage was a lie, if he ever actually loved me or if I was just convenient. He swore he loves me, and this thing with Lisa just happened and spiraled out of control. I asked when he last saw her. He wouldn't answer at first, then finally admitted they met for lunch on Tuesday, 2 days ago. He saw Lisa for lunch while I was at work, then came home and ate the dinner I made and played with Nora before bedtime without saying a word. "I want a divorce." He started crying, real tears running down his face. "Please don't do this. Think about Nora. We can fix this." Nora deserves a mother who respects herself enough not to stay with a cheating liar, and a father who knows actions have consequences. He packed 3 more bags while I followed him around the house to make sure he wasn't taking anything that wasn't his. He tried to grab Nora's iPad, and I said that's for her games. He can't have it. Right before he left, he turned around and said, "You're making a huge mistake. You'll regret this. We're good together." We were never good together. I was just too busy managing everything to notice you were a lying cheat. He tried one more time to hug me. I stepped back. He finally left. I locked the door behind him, all the locks, the deadbolt, and the chain. Then I went around and locked every window, checking twice. Finally, I sat on my kitchen floor staring at that stupid chocolate cake I'd spent 3 hours making, complete with little fondant toppers he likes. I grabbed a fork and ate cake straight from the platter on a Thursday night. My phone exploded. Maxwell calling and texting from different numbers. His mom texting. Anthony texting saying I'm being too harsh. My sister calling to check on me. My dad calling after Alicia told him what happened. I hadn't called Bo yet. Lisa's fiancé deserved to know, but I couldn't deal with one more thing that night. I texted Alicia to pick up Nora from my parents in the morning and take her to preschool like normal. I didn't want Nora seeing me like this. Friday morning started with aggressive banging on my front door at... Maxwell was outside in the same clothes from yesterday, pounding on the door and yelling, "Open up! We need to talk!" My neighbor Lillian was getting her newspaper and staring. Another neighbor walking his dog stopped to watch. I opened the door but kept the chain lock on. "You need to leave right now or I'm calling the police." I just want to talk like adults. Adults don't cheat on their wives for 2 years, then show up screaming at 7 a.m. when the whole neighborhood can hear. He tried to shove his foot in the door gap. I slammed it on his foot and he yelped, jumping back while I yelled that he doesn't get to bully me. Lillian actually pulled out her phone like she was ready to call police too. Maxwell got back in his car but rolled down the window yelling about how I'm being unreasonable and destroying our family. I called my dad, told him what happened. My dad, who's the calmest person alive, was furious. He said he's coming over right now, we're changing the locks today, and Maxwell is not getting a key. He's also calling the mortgage company to make sure Maxwell's name gets removed since he's been paying it. My dad showed up an hour later with my mom and Alicia. Mom brought breakfast sandwiches from our favorite deli, and I actually started crying when I saw her because I'd been holding it together. But seeing my mom broke me. We sat in my kitchen and I showed them the full video. Mom watched with her hand over her mouth, and when it ended, she said, "That boy is not welcome in this family anymore." Dad was so mad his hands were shaking, kept saying, "I trusted him. I helped him. I paid for his life while he disrespected my daughter." Then my phone rang. Lisa. Everyone went silent. Alicia said, "Do not answer that." "Oh, I'm answering." I put it on speaker. "Hey, I know this is awkward, but can we meet somewhere to talk?" "Talk about what exactly?" Long pause. "Maxwell called me last night crying, saying you kicked him out, and I just want to explain my side." I laughed out loud. "There is no side that makes sleeping with your best friend's husband okay." She launched into this speech about how it just happened. Neither of them meant for it to go this far. They tried to stop so many times, but there are real feelings involved. I asked how she could sit at my kitchen table every weekend for brunch, hold my daughter, ask about my marriage while actively destroying it. It's not that simple. Things between me and Bo haven't been great, and Maxwell understood me in a way Bo doesn't. My mom grabbed the phone and went off, telling Lisa she's a disgrace and a terrible friend, and she better never contact me again. Lisa tried to respond, and Mom hung up. "So, are we telling Bo?" Alicia asked. "Yes, absolutely. He deserves to know." Problem was, I didn't have Bo's number. Alicia found him on Instagram and sent a DM from her account. "This is about Lisa and Maxwell. Please call me. It's urgent." He called back in 10 minutes. I had to tell this man I barely knew that his fiancée had been cheating with my husband for 2 years. The silence was so long. Then he said, "Are you sure?" I have video of Maxwell bragging about it to his friends. I sent it through Alicia's Instagram DM. Bo called back 5 minutes later, crying. He and Lisa were supposed to get married in 4 months. He just put a down payment on their venue last week. "This is not your fault," he said. "Thank you for telling me." Around 11 a.m., the locksmith changed all the locks. While he was working, Maxwell's mom, Juliana, showed up unannounced. My dad answered the door and told her to leave. She pushed past him into my entryway, saying, "I need to speak with my daughter-in-law." Sweetheart, I know you're hurt, but you're not thinking clearly. Maxwell made a mistake, but he's a good man and a good father. You need to forgive him for Nora's sake. I told her Maxwell spent 2 years lying to everyone, including his own daughter, while sleeping with my best friend and using my father's money. That's not a mistake. That's a choice he made repeatedly. Marriage is about forgiveness and working through hard times. Every couple has rough patches. I asked if she'd stay with her husband if he cheated for 2 years. She got huffy, saying, "That's different and not the point." My mom came out and told Juliana to leave immediately. They got into it right there in my entryway. Juliana saying Mom raised me to give up too easily on marriage. Mom saying she raised me to have self-respect and not tolerate being treated like garbage. My dad finally escorted Juliana to the door. She turned and said, "You're going to regret this when Nora grows up without her father." I lost it, screaming that Maxwell can be a father to Nora without living here and lying to me, and maybe if she'd raised him better, he'd know how to be a decent human being. I spent Friday morning calling divorce lawyers, found one who could meet Monday morning. My dad's paying because I can't afford a divorce lawyer on my salary, and Maxwell sure as hell isn't paying for his own divorce. That weekend, Maxwell showed up Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with flowers, ringing the doorbell repeatedly. I didn't open the door. He yelled through it about needing to talk face to face. I texted him from my laptop since I'd blocked his number, telling him to leave or I'm calling cops for harassment. My dad drove over and met Maxwell in the driveway. I watched from the window as Dad got in Maxwell's face, saying if he shows up one more time without permission, he'll file for a restraining order himself. Maxwell left the flowers on my doorstep. I threw them in the garbage. Sunday night, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Bo, can we talk?" That phone call revealed something I wasn't expecting that created a whole new mess. Bo called around. He'd confronted Lisa after I sent the video. She denied it at first, said Maxwell was lying to impress friends. But Bo kept pushing, and she finally admitted they'd been seeing each other, insisting it wasn't serious and only happened a few times. Then Bo went through her phone. Her passcode was his birthday. He found months of Instagram DMs between her and Maxwell going back almost 2 years. But here's what made me want to throw up. They weren't just meeting for hookups. They were talking about being together for real, about leaving us and starting over together. Bo read me some of the messages. Maxwell telling Lisa he thinks about her constantly and wishes he could wake up next to her every morning. Lisa saying she feels more herself with Maxwell than she ever has with Bo. Them discussing how they'd handle custody of Nora and what their life would look like together. They were planning a future while I was making Maxwell's breakfast and doing his laundry and raising our daughter. Bo said there were messages from when I was pregnant with Nora. Lisa telling Maxwell she was jealous watching him play happy family. Maxwell saying he wished it was Lisa he was having a baby with instead. Then Bo told me about the Instagram account Maxwell made under a fake name just to message Lisa without anyone seeing. A whole fake account with a random guy's photos and a generic name like James Peterson. That's how they communicated most of the time. They'd meet at the same hotel 30 minutes outside town. Room 347 every time, like it was their special place. This wasn't just cheating. This was a whole secret relationship with plans and routines and their own little world alongside our real lives. Bo asked when it started exactly. The earliest Instagram DM he found was from March 2022, right after Nora turned 2, when Maxwell's job was failing and I was working overtime to keep us afloat. "You know what's crazy?" Bo said. "They probably still think they're going to end up together. That once the dust settles, we'll both move on and they can start their relationship openly." Over my dead body will I ever be okay with Maxwell and Lisa being together. Monday morning, I met with Franca, apparently one of the best divorce attorneys in the area according to my dad's research. I showed her the video, told her about the Instagram messages Bo found, explained the mortgage situation with my dad paying. "This is actually pretty straightforward since we have clear evidence of infidelity and the financial situation favors you," she said, taking notes on everything. We discussed custody. I wanted primary physical custody with Maxwell getting supervised visitation until I felt confident he's stable. She said that's reasonable given the circumstances and asked if Maxwell would fight for custody. I don't know what Maxwell will do because the man I thought I knew doesn't exist. Next steps. File for divorce this week, serve Maxwell the papers, start discovery, work out temporary custody and support. She estimated 6 months to a year, depending on Maxwell's cooperation. Tuesday, Maxwell texted from another new number asking to discuss custody and meet somewhere neutral. I told him to have his lawyer contact mine. He said he doesn't have a lawyer and can't afford one. That sounds like a you problem. He called immediately, launching into a speech about how I'm being vindictive and using Nora as a weapon, that he has rights as her father. You should have thought about your rights before you cheated. You're not being fair. You're punishing me too harshly. Too harshly, like there's an appropriate punishment level for 2 years of infidelity that I'm somehow exceeding. I asked point blank if he and Lisa were planning to leave us and be together. He got quiet. Where did you hear that? I told him Beau went through Lisa's phone and found everything. All the Instagram messages, all their plans, all their discussions about leaving us. Maxwell tried saying those conversations weren't serious, just venting or fantasizing. I asked if he really thinks I'm stupid enough to believe that. You're twisting everything to make me look worse than I am. You made yourself look bad by cheating for 2 years and planning a secret future with my best friend. Then came the classic cheater excuse. I don't understand how hard things were when his business failed, and I wasn't being emotionally supportive enough. So now it's my fault he cheated because I wasn't supportive enough while working full-time, raising our daughter and managing an entire household. That's the weakest excuse I've ever heard, and you're going to have to do better than that in court. We don't need to go to court. We can figure this out ourselves. No, we can't, because I don't trust a single word out of your mouth. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from Nora's preschool director. Maxwell had showed up trying to check Nora out early, but they wouldn't release her because I'd updated the pickup list to require my written permission. He apparently caused a scene until they threatened to call police. I called Maxwell on FaceTime using Nora's iPad since he wasn't blocked there. You do not get to show up at Nora's school causing problems and scaring the staff. I have a right to see my daughter, and you're keeping her from me. You can see Nora when we have a legal custody arrangement through the court. Until then, back off. Friday afternoon brought the biggest scene yet. My coworker Annabelle came speed-walking over looking panicked. There's a man in the lobby demanding to see you with an older woman, and they won't leave. I knew immediately it was Maxwell. I told Annabelle to call building security and walked out to find Maxwell in khakis and a button down like he was here for a job interview, with Juliana in a full pantsuit looking ready to present a legal case. We need to talk right now, Maxwell said when he saw me. You need to leave my workplace immediately. Juliana stepped forward. We're not leaving until you hear us out because this has gone on long enough. I told the receptionist to call security. Maxwell said, That's not necessary, we just want 5 minutes. You don't get 5 minutes. You don't get anything. You're harassing me at my job. Juliana pulled out her phone and played a voice memo. Maxwell crying, full sobbing, saying he can't live without me and Nora. He's falling apart. She's worried he's going to hurt himself. I stared at her. Did you seriously just play me a recording of your adult son crying to manipulate me into taking him back? It's not manipulation. It's showing you how much pain he's in because of your actions. I laughed so hard the receptionist jumped. Maxwell is in pain because of his own actions and choices. If he's struggling, maybe he should talk to a therapist instead of showing up at his wife's workplace with his mom. Security arrived. 2 guys asking if there's a problem. Yes, these people need to leave. They're harassing me. Maxwell tried arguing he's my husband and allowed to talk to me. Security said not on private property when she's asking you to leave. It escalated until I told security, "We are not working it out. I have a restraining order pending, and these people are violating my space." That was a lie, but it got security to take it seriously. They had to escort Maxwell and Juliana out. Maxwell kept trying to talk over his shoulder while being walked to the exit. My phone exploded afterward. Maxwell from 2 new numbers. Juliana Anthony, Maxwell's aunt, I've met twice. All saying I embarrassed Maxwell and need to give him a real chance. I responded only to Anthony. If anyone from Maxwell's family contacts me again, I'm filing harassment charges against all of them. Saturday, Franca called. Divorce papers were served Friday afternoon at Anthony's apartment where Maxwell's staying. He has 30 days to respond. The workplace incident actually helps our case, shows a pattern of harassment and boundary violations. Based on Maxwell's behavior, the school incident, workplace harassment, we have a strong case for primary physical custody with supervised visitation. She'd push for a parenting coordinator to oversee exchanges so I don't have to deal with Maxwell directly. Friday morning, 3 weeks after this nightmare started, I met Franca at the courthouse for our first hearing. Temporary orders to establish custody and support until divorce is final. Maxwell was there with his lawyer looking miserable. We sat on opposite sides of the courtroom. His mom glared at me from the back row. The judge reviewed both motions and asked Maxwell's lawyer why his client thinks he deserves 50-50 custody when he has an unstable living situation, no fixed income, and documented history of showing up at the child's school without permission. Maxwell's lawyer argued he's a devoted father being kept from his daughter by a vindictive spouse. Franca stood up and calmly presented the video evidence. The judge watched it right there in court with sound on. I watched Maxwell's face turn red as his own voice echoed through the courtroom, talking about staying only for the mortgage and free housekeeping. The judge was not happy. Drunk or not, those are serious statements that call into question his judgment and character. Franca presented evidence of Maxwell showing up at my workplace with his mother after being repeatedly asked to stop, the school incident, multiple blocked phone numbers. The judge's ruling: I get primary physical custody immediately. Maxwell gets supervised visitation every other Saturday for 4 hours at a family visitation center with a court-appointed supervisor. He has to complete a co-parenting class before supervision can be lifted. He has to pay me child support based on his earning potential, not current unemployment. He's ordered to stay away from my home and workplace or face contempt charges. Maxwell looked slapped. His lawyer tried to argue and the judge shut him down. These are temporary orders. If Maxwell can demonstrate stability and appropriate behavior, we'll revisit in 3 months. We left the courthouse and Maxwell tried approaching me in the parking lot. I pulled out my phone and started recording, saying loudly, "You are violating the judge's order from 5 minutes ago by approaching me." He backed off immediately. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Maxwell completed his co-parenting class, but still only gets supervised visitation because he violated the no-contact order twice more. I got the house since my dad proved he'd paid the entire mortgage. Maxwell pays $800 monthly child support and has to maintain health insurance for Nora. Lisa and Bo never got married. Bo kept the wedding venue deposit and took a 2-week vacation to Hawaii instead. Maxwell and Lisa tried dating openly after our divorce was final, but apparently having an affair was more exciting than being together legitimately. They broke up after 4 months. I got promoted to senior forensic accountant with a salary bump to $185,000. Nora's thriving in therapy and understands that sometimes grown-ups make poor choices, but it's not her fault. My dad still pays the mortgage, but now it's going toward building equity in a house I actually own. The chocolate ganache cake I made for Maxwell's birthday, I learned to make it even better and now bake it for Nora's birthdays instead. Some stories end with dramatic confrontations, but the best revenge is building a life so much better without toxic people that you barely remember why you wasted time on them in the first place. Maxwell learned the hard way that when you betray a forensic accountant who specializes in uncovering financial deceptions, you better make sure you're not leaving evidence everywhere, and that manageable women sometimes have hidden advantages you never saw coming.